Sports, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Hannytime. Hannytime. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And we welcome you into the Wednesday edition of Hannytime Companion Show special here with the SEC tournament going on in Hoover, Alabama, and LSU with an 8-3 lead now in the top of the seventh inning. Going to get you caught up on what's going on there, what's going on around the country, what happened into the late hours last night as we watch Ackenhausen try to work his way out of a little bit of trouble here with 2 on and 2 out. It's been, for the most part, a very good day for LSU. The starting pitching out of Thatcher Hurd today was terrific. Tigers put together a couple of one big inning and another multiple run inning. They've had hitting throughout the lineup. They've got 10 hits on the day. They have played good defensive baseball, and they are in position now to move themselves ahead. If they can hang on to this 5-run lead through the last 3 innings today, we've seen a home run out of Braden Jobert. We saw some clutch relief pitching out of Ackenhausen to get out of a jam. Might have got a call. But they will take that too here in the postseason. So, so far to this point, I think the story of the day where LSU is concerned is Thatcher Hurd. Hurd came out and threw 100 pitches today. He got through 5 and a third inning. And if you just look at the box score, I think you're probably not going to get the full effect of how good Hurd was today. He came out, got the side in order in the first, in the second, in the third, and in the fourth. So at times, Hurd worked himself out of some unadvantageous counts. For instance, in the third inning, he came back from a 3-0 count to record a strikeout. A couple of times he got some good defensive plays. Pearson's in right field today. He made a nice catch to open the ball game. Travinsky, who is not known for his glove behind the plate, made a nice play in foul ground back in the first inning. And all of those things are good. Now, in the fifth, he did run into a little bit of trouble. But even that wasn't as bad as it looked. Ethan Petrie hit a solo home run on a hanging curveball to open the inning. That stopped a streak of 12 in a row to open the ball game. But then after a line drive single, he got a fly out to right. He got a ground ball to second. And then he got a strikeout swinging on a 3-2 count to end what was a little mini threat there. Then in the sixth, he came out. He got the opening out to start the inning. And then a single and a walk loaded the bases, and they took him out. Petrie walked on a 10-pitch at bat with the bases loaded. Now, Petrie is, if you remember back from the first series where he hit 2 home runs and then he hit another one today, he's among the best freshman hitters in the country this year. I thought that at bat, I didn't think Hurd ever gave in. It was, you get the bases loaded, and you got the best hitter on the other side that, as we watch Ackenhausen get a strikeout to get out of that inning. So they're going to the bottom of the seventh, 8-3 LSU. To get Petrie to 10 pitches in the at-bat showed me that he was competing. He was at 90 pitches at the at-bat to start, 100 pitches when Petrie walked and brought in a run. The other 2 runs that were so basically the 2 runs that I'm going to charge Hurd with were both or 2 of the 3 runs he gave up that are officially earned. I'm gonna really count him for 2, and they were both with Ethan Petrie at the plate. All right, if Thatcher Hurd's going to go out there and the only thing he's going to give up of real consequences to one of the best hitters in the country for freshmen, then I can live with that. He only walked 2. He struck out 4. Now, they had to go to Dutton and Ackenhausen to try to get him out of the 6th. Dutton issued a walk with the bases loaded. Ackenhausen got a strikeout, definitely got a call after he had walked in a run. So had issued a walk to reload the bases. The pitching today, what I'm trying to tell you, has been pretty good as I'm going through my notes here, trying to put this in some kind of chronological order for you. Probably not doing the best job. LSU at the plate. Very balanced attack today. Everybody in the lineup except Thompson has a hit. There are three players with multiple RBIs, Morgan, Travinsky, and Joe Bear. Even in the first inning off of Eli Jones, LSU was seeing the ball pretty well. The opening at-bat of the ball game was Dylan Cruz with a deep fly ball to straightaway center field. It's overcast there. It's damp. The ball is certainly not jumping today in Hoover. Two of the three outs in the first inning were very, very deep fly balls to the outfield, one by Cruz and another one by Morgan. In the second inning, with two outs, Jordan Thompson drew a walk, and then Braden Joubert hit the home run to open the scoring and make it 2-0 LSU. Tigers have done a good job with two outs today. They have scored 6 of their 8 runs with two outs. LSU didn't do much in the third or the fourth, but the fifth inning was the big 4-run inning. It started off with a Joubert single, and then Dugas singled to get Jones out of the ball game in favor of Noah Proctor. Cruz singled to load the bases, and then back-to-back bases-loaded walks put 2 runs in. Back-to-back sacrifice flies by Morgan and Travinsky plated 2 more runs. So on 3 hits, the Tigers were able to get 4 runs home. Beloso would single. Thompson was hit by a pitch before Joubert would pop out. South Carolina had to change pitchers twice in the inning. So if you wanted to look at what LSU was trying to accomplish today, win the ball game, of course. But if you tell me that Thatcher Hurd's going to go out there and give me 100 pitches against a very good South Carolina lineup, maybe ailing a little bit from what they were earlier in the season when LSU went to Columbia, but still a very, very good lineup, I would have said, based on what he did against Georgia and what he did in this Southeastern Conference tournament, you can feel pretty good about where Thatcher Hurd is going into the regionals. See, now you have some choices with him. If LSU ends up with a 4 seed that has a draftable prospect or a monster number 1, then you can feel pretty good about running Thatcher Hurd out there in the first game. If they don't, then you might try somebody else and save Thatcher Hurd to maybe close one of the games or even start a game on Sunday. I think he's strung together enough good performances that you can start to feel really good about him in multiple situations. So that's the first good thing. Ackenhausen has 4 strikeouts in 5 outs now, and he got out of a heck of a bind in the 6th inning. Again, I thought he got a call with the 3-2 pitch, but he got that strikeout, and then with the bases loaded, he got a comebacker to the mound to keep the lead at 6-3, and then LSU came and got the 2 runs right back. You're starting to see, just some things evolve here later in the season. Hurd is better. Floyd is better. Ackenhausen has looked fantastic today. You're starting to get contributions from people. Travinsky's been in the lineup for about 3 or 4 weeks now, but you didn't get anything out of him at the beginning of the season. He's probably the hottest hitter on the team right now. You weren't getting anything out of Pearson for about the first 2 months of the season, and all of a sudden he has emerged as not just a defensive upgrade, but an offensive force too. He's in the lineup in the 2-hole today. Hey, you want to get a guy, see good at-bats, see good pitches, put him in between Cruz and White in the lineup. I promise you, he'll see some fastballs. And Pearson's taking advantage of that. He's got 2 hits in the game today. All in all, and LSU's got a runner at second base here to open the bottom of the 7th. This has been a really good opening game for LSU so far through the first 7 innings, and a wild pitch going to move the runner to third. So they got a chance to tack one on here. I'm just going to throw something out here. The run rule is in place in the Southeastern tournament. If they haven't changed the rule, I think it's 8 after 7. So, just something to throw out there. Scott Rabalais going to join us when we come back. We're going to keep you up to date on this game plus other games that have gone on yesterday and today, how they have affected maybe some of the national seeding and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you, not a lot, mostly status quo, but a few things I have jumbled around. We're going to move first class, second class, no class to tomorrow, thinking that LSU will be playing later in the day. This is Hannytime, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime.
Infinity of Baton Rouge. Right now, they will buy your vehicle for cash. They'll give you a quote in less than 15 minutes. So if you're ready to go shopping and you want to know what your vehicle is worth, you can do that in a pretty timely manner. You get into the certified pre-owned program at Infinity of Baton Rouge, as we have in my family multiple times, including just a few months ago, and you can take advantage of some of the benefits like the first year of prepaid maintenance, like a complimentary vehicle while your car is being serviced, and that roadside assistance that provides peace of mind for you, especially if you have older or younger drivers on the road, that they can get something fixed. Transparency in pricing, a very comfortable buying experience. Check them out on Airline Highway at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Up on Thursdays Off the Bench. We'll recap day 2 at Hoover, the SEC tournament, how did LSU fare against South Carolina. Plus, we'll check in with Coach Jay Johnson. Also, the latest from Saints OTAs. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hannytime with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU has pushed the lead to 10-3 with an RBI single by Tommy White. And that puts runners at the corners with one out. And I apologize for not looking this rule up to make sure that they didn't change it before we started today. But the rule in the Southeastern Conference tournament used to be an 8-run rule after 7. So I'm watching along with you, Mario. I forgot to look that up before. I've been watching baseball. I watched baseball until about almost midnight last night, and then again here starting this morning. So forgive me for not re-looking up the rule. Let's bring in Scott Rabalais from the Advocate. Scott, good afternoon. How are you?
Charles, I was watching the clock, see if we might get the game in before we started our little session, but we'll make do.
Yeah, we're okay. It's been a terrific open for LSU. I mean, what we can talk about right now is Thatcher Hurd, and 100 pitches today. I thought that he pitched a lot better than maybe his box score line would indicate. But mostly what it does is it should give him a lot of confidence and give Jay Johnson some options with where he wants to use Thatcher Hurd the rest of the way.
For sure. I mean, obviously he had the really big relief effort against Georgia to keep LSU in it before they finally won that game in extra innings last Thursday, and he comes back today with a quality start. Kind of thought they might go with Riley Cooper, but Riley, he can give you multiple. He can give you multiple appearances, but he seems to be gaining some confidence. I thought Ben McDonald. I'm watching the game on TV like most of y'all. I thought Ben McDonald made an interesting comment that sometimes the game speeds up on Thatcher, it seems, and he's got to kind of slow it down when runners get on base. And he seems to be getting a little better at battling, Charles. I remember he gave up a couple of home runs against Georgia in that game last week, but he still hung in there. And he hung in there today and gave LSU a lot of innings, and obviously that's really key. So the Tigers continue to search for starters down the line beyond Paul Skeens, and obviously Ty Floyd has pitched well. We'll see when we see him. I guess I would think we'll see Skeens tomorrow and Ty Floyd in the next game because LSU is into the double would win today. It'd be the double elimination part and get 2 more games at least, but. Could Thatcher Hurd be that guy? He was supposed to be, right? Coming into the year, they thought he could be one of those guys. Maybe late in the year, as I've written a couple of times, including today, this is the time of year where you've got to find some more heroes, and you've got to find some guys to really come to the fore for you and elevate their game, especially on the pitching staff for LSU. And maybe Thatcher Hurd is finally becoming one of those guys.
I don't want to make excuses. I know that's how this is going to come off. And I have been talking about Thatcher Hurd since the beginning of March is, hey, listen, that's the guy they're going to need. They're going to need him. They're going to need. I can hear Smoke Laval talking about J.C. Holt 20 years ago in a situation where Holt was in a slump, and he's like, are you going to take him out? He's like, no. He says, we got to have that guy if we're going to get to Omaha. Mm-hmm. And Holt ended up hitting like 390 or something. He got himself out of the slump. And I feel that way. I can remember Bertman talking about Trey Hodges. We made that analogy a number of times. But, for Hurd, number one, he was coming off of a major injury, something that had cost him a lot of time. Number two, he hasn't been a pitcher from birth. He's not one of these guys that has been pitching since, he was 7 years old. He's been a pitcher just, more recently, so he doesn't have a ton of pitching experience. And then the last thing is that he's been pitching, I'm sorry, but compared to the crowds in the Southeastern Conference, in front of nobody, in front of just a few hundred fans. And it's different. It feels very, very different when it's in front of, 5, 6, 8,000 people, and they are all very much into the game. So if Thatcher Hurd has turned a corner, to me, that's just one of the monster keys for LSU as they go through this postseason.
And not just a corner for this year, Charlie, but for next year, right? I mean, you figure he could be. He's got to be one of the cornerstones of your weekend rotation next year.
He's supposed to be. He's supposed to be your Friday night guy next year. He's supposed to be a first-round draft pick whenever it's his time to enter the draft. So We'll see. I think he's made enormous strides. I thought the at-bat against Petrie, even though he lost him, was an indication of how far Thatcher Hurd has come. The bases are loaded. He probably knows that this is his last hitter, and he battles in there for 10 pitches. Eventually, Petrie got the walk. Petrie's a really good player. But yeah. I think a month ago, Thatcher Hurd probably walks him on 5 pitches. 5 or 6 pitches. He hung in there. He kept delivering strikes. Petrie eventually won the battle, but I thought that was a heck of an at bat.
It was, and like I said, as we were saying, the battling that he's doing, and we got dead ball. What's going on here?
All right, there was a ball that went out in front of the plate. There was a throw to first. There was a throw to the plate to get that run, and then a throw to first that got away, and I don't know. It looks like they were 1 run away from being done with this, and that throw.
Cruz got forced at home.
Yeah, and
second out.
Okay, and then the throw to first base hits Travinski, and it goes off in the foul territory, and. All right, it's 10-3 LSU. We'll try to get this sorted out and see what's going on. They
Charles,
go to the 8th.
I gotta ask you if I may take the reins of your show.
Please, yes.
The fact that LSU is playing South Carolina, this really irritates me that LSU wound up a half game out of a tie for the SEC regular season championship behind Arkansas and Florida because they had the rained out game that LSU wanted to play in Columbia back in April, and that South Carolina didn't want to play. And LSU, like I said, maybe they lose that game. Obviously, we don't know. Maybe they win, maybe they lose. But it really bothers me that the SEC does not put more of a competitive, more emphasis, value more the SEC regular season baseball championship. It's just like, oh well, you didn't play a game, you lose out on a championship. And what a championship to win this year. I mean, the SEC is really loaded. I mean, you might have 7 host teams, 4 national seeds. I mean, it's really a great league. And it's sure you can say, well, LSU blew the lead against Mississippi State, and LSU lost to Georgia on the last day of the season, and all those things. But it really chaps me that there's not more value placed on the integrity of the SEC regular season championship than there is, and LSU could have benefited. They didn't benefit, but I think something needs to change. You need to compel them to play that game.
So I would like for the umpires to be making these decisions as far as rainouts. Okay, I've said that for years. Once the game starts, the game is in the hands of the umpires, but before the game starts, the game is in the hands of essentially the home team. You've got home team game management. LSU's got it. Everybody's got it. In my opinion, that it probably ought to be in the umpire's hands from the beginning of the day. So that's the first thing as far as getting a game played. The second thing is, Scott, and I know you remember this, we've made a lot of progress here from curfew delays. Back when everybody was flying commercial, right, or you had some kind of deadline to get out of there, we had a lot more ties in the league and Sundays. I can remember calling games going, Jim, they got 5 minutes to score a run, right, or we're going to end up with a tie. And so at least we are past that. By the way, the double play to end the inning was due to interference. So just to get you caught up there, it's 10-3 going to the 8th.
That was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series.
It was.
What is wrong with LSU staying to play on Sunday? I was in Augusta at the Masters, an hour to the west that day, and the weather was fine. The weather was beautiful on Sunday.
Yeah,
it was absolutely beautiful. You could have played that day. There was no reason not to play that third game. And like I said, maybe LSU wins, maybe they lose. Who knows? South Carolina was a better team at that point in the season. But you're right, we have come a long way. And from that, Charlie, the 1 year I did the baseball beat in 1999, I remember a beautiful day in Georgia. It was a Sunday, and the game ended up in a tie because of the silly rule. I mean, the SEC, they seem to value it. Means more the road to Omaha starts here. It's a little bit of lip service to me when you don't give more value and weight and importance to the SEC regular season championship. It's a championship in this conference, and you don't this would never happen in football. You don't say, well, you played one less game because of a hurricane, Florida, so you don't get to go to the SEC championship game. You finished percentage points behind. Sorry. No, that would not happen. And I'd like to see them place more emphasis on it. It's better, but it needs to get even better, in my opinion.
Ooh, you see, it's not like football. Okay. All right, let me take up for the league just a little bit here. That was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, okay? They had an extra day to play with, but most of the series in the league don't. So let's say that LSU and South Carolina would have played that day, and LSU would have won. But somewhere down the line, one of the other contenders would have been in a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, and the Sunday game gets rained out, and they can't make it up. You are providing then, yes, a advantage for teams whose series happen to, through nothing more than happenstance, have a series start on Thursday night, have an advantage towards getting more games in. I think that's the league's position is we can't do this for every series, so we're not going to do it for any series. And I understand why that's frustrating, but I think that's their stance.
I say make him come to Hoover a day early and play.
Okay, and the last thing, you want to talk about some pushback from the coaches. They ain't wild about this format now. You get them into playing another game for the Southeastern Conference Championship. But I understand what you're saying. You would hope that every effort would be made to play every game. There is still very much a cost. Well, there's still very much a cost to this, though, Scott. I mean, yes, football, they're going to play it. As we saw during the COVID season, okay, the football games have to be played because they make money. For baseball, that's not necessarily the case. So I at least understand when the league does things just because we said so, like Alabama has to play Tennessee because we said so, that's when I get aggravated. When they give me a reason, I may not agree with the reason, but I at least get where they're coming from.
All right. I give you that, Charlie. It's still frustrating to me.
You don't. I get it. This is one of those. This is one of those things that's gotten under your skin a little bit. All right, let's talk about the rest of this tournament as we go to the top of the eighth inning, and LSU has recorded the first two outs. They lead it 10-3 here. You wrote a column about how much does the SEC tournament mean. I think I've got I know what I think, but I want to know what you think about how much the SEC tournament should mean and how Jay Johnson should play this thing.
I don't think you should, put yourself in a pretzel. Bend yourself into a pretzel over as LSU gets out of the inning, gets to win the tournament. But I think you should try. I mean, again, it's a championship in this conference. It's a heck of a thing to win any kind of title in the SEC in baseball, especially this year. And so I think you should make a reasonable effort to win. I think LSU has set up their pitching. Obviously, made a bit of a gamble to go with Thatcher today instead of Paul Skeens, but you want Skeens to pitch closer to what he's used to doing. Get a full week's rest since he last pitched. So he'll pitch tomorrow. In the either stay alive or to advance the game. Looks like it's going to be to an advanced game, and then you go on with the rest of your staff. So I think you should try to win it. I'm for the attitude that without putting yourself in jeopardy in the NCAA tournament, you should make your best effort to win. Is it going to change? Is also going to wind up? They're going to be a national seed. Obviously, it doesn't affect their season or their seeding. In those terms, they're going to be a national seed in the NCAA tournament, and rightly so. That's locked up at this point. If they get their 43rd win today, especially. But make your best effort to win it. It's a tremendous title. It's something that LSU, they haven't won a title yet in Jay Johnson's very short time at LSU. I think it's important.
I think you should run it out there and make every effort to win in the context of keeping your pitching in line for the next week. In other words, I have no problem with Paul Skeens being held on day one. I think that's the right move to make. You keep him in a Thursday to Thursday, and if you lose, you lose. Now, if they were playing for a national seed, I might feel differently, but that's not the case here. Paul Maneri's teams won this tournament 6 times, but I called some of those games. I was at some of those tournaments. I never saw him. I never recall him compromising his pitching while winning the tournament. I never remember him bringing back one of his starters from earlier in the week, later in the week. I never remember him overusing his bullpen. Like, we got to bring this guy back 3 times because it's to win the SEC tournament. What I saw was that he asked that people step up that maybe would get bigger roles than they had during the regular season. I'm looking at Pearson, for instance, who's just started to take more of a role and is in the 2-hole today and has got a couple of hits. Thatcher Hurd going out there. Yeah, they need him in the regional and the super regional, but let's see what kind of outing that he has here. Skeens, I think, is going to pitch a normal game tomorrow. In other words, I don't think he's going to be on a 75 pitch count. I also don't think that they're going to run him up to 125 pitches to win the game the way they might if this was a super regional. So things like that. I want you to make every effort to win the game, but not to the point where you're compromising your future. Now, in 2 weeks, that attitude changes. Okay, if a guy's got to go out there and give you 15 more pitches in a super regional than he would in an SEC weekend to get you to Omaha, then yeah, okay. And I know enough about Skeens to know that he's going to empty the tank when they get to the postseason at Alec Box. So this is sort of like a souped up midweek game. Does it matter for the seeding? In this case, it doesn't. Does it matter for development of the team? Yeah, I think it does. So it's sort of important. How's that?
Yeah, as so often, you and I are pretty like-minded. I agree with that. Yeah, you don't want to, if a game goes extra innings, if LSU goes extra innings tomorrow, you don't want to make Paul Skeens pitch a lot more than he normally would. In this case, if it's it's the same thing. If they get to the conference tournament final and it's extras, you don't want to overextend someone with a regional to start just a few days later. But yeah, make your best effort to win it within reason. I think it's an interesting situation to be in. It's one of those times where you're trying your best, but your best includes being judicious with your team. But I think LSU, some pitchers like Thatcher Hurd today, probably gained some confidence from this start. You would have to say that could help LSU in the NCAA tournament. I think this is some of the things LSU could benefit from in Hoover this year.
All right, I want to talk to you about the SEC meetings. So let's take a break here, and because we went long with the baseball stuff, and LSU's batting down the bottom of the 8th inning. But I do want to talk to you about the SEC meetings that you're going to next week in it's Tulsa, right? Oh wait, no, it's Destin. Yes, that's right. Down, you and Dellinger down by the beach. All right, we're gonna do that when we come back. This is Hannytime, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs. We go out to Big Mike's when we're looking to celebrate something. So maybe you're celebrating a birthday. Maybe you're celebrating a graduation. Maybe you're just celebrating because LSU's about to win a game and move on in the Southeastern Conference Tournament. On 40 TVs with a very generous happy hour, you're always going to be able to celebrate at Big Mike's. Multiple party rooms that you can get for your private events. So you can do those in multiple sizes, family-friendly. You want to hang out in the bar, there's 40 TVs to watch all of the sports. Happy hour from 3 to 7, Monday through Friday, and all day on Sunday. Golf, NASCAR, baseball, a little bit of basketball love. Do it at Big Mike's. Of course, off-site catering is available for your get-togethers at home. And the Denham Springs Hall of Fame located in the front of the restaurant on Aspen Boulevard in Denham Springs. Big Mike's were kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Turn my music high, yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey, it's Hunt. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're chatting with Chris Demouy, and we're probably going to be a de facto post-game show if the rain stays away in Hoover. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right. Like I said, I should have checked on the rule before we started. It is 10. It is 10-run rule. For a long time there, it was 8, just in the SEC tournament only. But it is 10. At any rate, LSU gets 3 more outs, and they're going to move on here. They're up 10-3 in the top of the 9th. Ackenhausen, who has pitched really, really, really well, is out there to try to finish it. He's going 2 2/3 innings. He's given up 1 hit and 1 walk, struck out 5, and he got him out of that bases-loaded jam back in the 6th inning. Scott Rabalais is with us from the Advocate. Scott, at the SEC meetings next week, let me ask the obvious question right there. Do we know for a fact that they are going to vote on SEC football scheduling next week? Do we know that for sure?
No. They do not have to vote. The commissioner has said he would like them to vote. I think everyone in the SEC would like there to be a vote, but no, they do not have to. They can leave Destin next Friday without a vote, but it's going to have to come sometime. You know, you would hope there at least be some kind of drop dead date, but no, they don't have to.
So what would be the drop dead date if you had to guess?
You know, that's a really good question. I guess this thing could drag on until, you know, the end of this football season. I don't. That is purely speculation on my part, Charlie. But you don't see a lot of the SEC dates come out until much closer to the start of a season. So I don't know.
There's quite a few non-conference games that hang in the balance here for every school. I mean, at some point you have to know whether you got room to schedule 3 or 4 non-conference games. So those are on. I would guess that they could probably make do with that all the way until the end of December if they had to. But Not much is going to change.
If that's the case, then they're probably going to. I think the more time goes by, the more likely it is they're going to stick with an 8-game schedule, at least for now. Now, if they decide next week, if they vote next week, and there seems to be momentum that the SEC presidents are going to get there and say, look, we've had enough of this, let's vote.
Right.
But if they go past Destin, I think momentum picks up for an 8-game schedule. Though it doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't necessarily have to be forever. But they've got to come up with something that gets them through Texas and OU joining the league, and a cycle of years. You would think 4 years or something like that.
What if we're blaming the wrong people here? What if this is really on ESPN and this is about a dollar amount, and if the 6 or 7 schools that are in the top of the league are saying we'll do this for this amount of money, and the bottom of the league is saying no, we need this much more money to make this palatable to losing some of these non-conference home dates, and ESPN is saying, hang on, let us figure out what we got to pay for everything else, and we'll get back to you. What if the television dollars, what do you say, follow the money? What if the television dollars are not agreed to by ESPN right now, and that's the holdup?
I think that's definitely part of it, because ESPN, Disney is in such a financial, I don't say crisis right now, but they're certainly in some financial pickle. They just announced their third round of layoffs. The layoff total of 7,000 people to save $5.5 billion. At ESPN, at ABC, all kind of different places. So the SEC, I think the conventional wisdom is the SEC said, look, we agreed to this amount of money, but now we've added Texas and Oklahoma. We haven't added North Texas and Jacksonville State. We've added two marquee programs here. How about a little something? Hey, Laba, how about a little something for the effort?
Right.
And does ESPN know right now if that makes financial sense for them? You would think in the long term it probably does, but in the foreseeable future, the next 3 or 4 years, that next half decade, does that make sense? So I think you're onto something there, Charles. I think there are probably, I say it could be very likely schools in the SEC programs that are saying, look, we're not getting enough bang for our financial buck here. And obviously, you want to continue to have equal revenue distribution across the league. So, I know Texas is used to getting more, but they're not going to get more than Vanderbilt does. So they get the same. So I think that's definitely a big part of it. And I think if not, I think they would have agreed to a 9-game schedule a long time ago. But maybe ESPN people will be there too in Destin, obviously. Maybe they all dip their toes in the sand and say, hold over a drink and say, okay, we're going to do this. But I'm sure the SEC wants a little more money, and I got to believe that's a sticking point.
Hey, Moose, Rocco, help the guy from ESPN find his checkbook. Okay, I saw Caddyshack too. All right. So what else is on the agenda that we're really watching? I know the SEC football scheduling trumps all, but we've got conference tournament formats in multiple other sports to talk about, scheduling in multiple other sports to talk about. Is any of that going to get done next week?
They've done a lot of it, but yeah, I mean, there's still a few more things to hammer out. I can't recall every single sport, chapter and verse, but yeah, it's every sport. You got to figure these things out, and they've announced a lot of them. But I think we're still waiting to hear. Is it still possible they might expand the basketball schedule? It doesn't seem likely, but the other big thing, of course, on the agenda that the SEC has made the thing, and it does appear that they're going to try to come up with some solution next week, is fans rushing the field and courts. Are they going to increase the fines? Obviously, everybody saw the whole report about the working group said you could forfeit having a home game or something like that. I don't think that's going to fly, but also at the same time, I don't think a drunk college student is going to think, oh, my school's really going to get a $5 million fine now if I rush the field.
Right.
And how many people is rushing the field? What's the threshold? If 30 people get on the field, get past hey, look, we've ringed the field with horses and cops. What do you want us to do? Build a moat? 30 people went through. Do we get fined for that? So that's going to be interesting how they come up with it. It's not as easy a solution, I think, as it would seem, but it's definitely a safety issue that the SEC is concerned about. So I think it's one of the other big things on the agenda.
I'm of the opinion that it's more dangerous if you try to stop an unruly mob with the resources that you have there. Because short of bringing in what they used to say, equines and canines, you bring in horses and dogs. Otherwise, you are outnumbered. They can't bring in 70,000 cops. So take LSU, okay, which has a chain link fence in front of the student section by about 4 feet, give or take. So you're going to press somebody up against that thing to try to keep them off the field, and you're really going to hurt somebody. That's my opinion. I've been down on the field when the field is rushed. Yes, it is. It's a harrowing experience, but I'll tell you, if there were 3 times as many cops trying to do like Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House, going, no, everything is calm, everything is great, nothing to see here, you're really going to get somebody hurt. I think if the schools make a reasonable effort to stop this, okay, you bring in as much security as possible, and you make your goalpost detachable to where you can take them down so that they don't get ripped down and fall on somebody's head. I think you've done what you can do. And these, kind of draconian measures are a little bit out of bounds. And I think what they're trying to do, from a safety standpoint, is actually more dangerous than not doing. Look, let them go, okay? They're going to go down. They're going to dance on the turf. They're going to, run around. Get everybody off the field as quick as you can, and do that. Because if you try to stop 15,000 drunk students, I think you're really looking to get somebody hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a safety issue, but as you said, safety works both ways. And of course, there's also the safety of the other team on the field. I watched the video recently of these LSU fans who were getting in the face of this Alabama staffer who required a guy who was a twice wounded veteran, by the way, trying to get back to the Alabama locker room after the game in November. That's ridiculous too. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to come up with. They got to come up with something. Charlie, I found my email from March. Still to be determined are regular season formats in football and volleyball, and the postseason tournament format in baseball. So they've got just about everything else worked out, except for the big enchilada and this pretty big appetizer, which is the SEC baseball tournament.
All right, you guys are going to actually have to work next week, so you got a lot to do. So we'll be checking in with you from Destin. We'll try to work you in between the meetings and the golf. So
Charles, if I'm on a certain hole that doesn't have a good reception, I promise I will call you back as soon as I get a good reception. So.
I appreciate that. All right, Scott, thanks a lot. Have a good holiday weekend.
You too, Charles. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. LSU 10-3, 2 on and 2 out. They need their strike away from advancing in the SEC tournament. This is Hannytime 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime.
Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. As we get together during the summer, we're cooking with family and friends. Make it with Supreme Rice for your jambalayas. We've got the Jambalaya Festival coming up. It's Jambalaya season, or red beans or stews or etouffees. Make it with Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers down in southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice is grown, milled, and processed around Crowley, Louisiana. You've been doing something that long, you're doing it right. You're going to get more for your money, and it's easy to pick it up at all of your AG food stores, all of your Rouses, your Walmarts, and your Walmart neighborhood stores. Whether it's the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the Jasmine Supreme Rice, it's a perfect complement to any meal. So pick some up where you buy rice. For more information and great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $15,000 off plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on all new 22 Ford F-150 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like Vance.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. LSU underway at the SEC tournament. We'll recap Tigers and Gamecocks. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hannytime with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So LSU wins it by a score of 10-3. They'll move on to play the winner of A&M and Arkansas, which is going to go in about 30 minutes. That'll be at 4:30, scheduled for 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. LSU got on the board first today. 2-run homer by Braden Jobert in the second inning. The fourth inning was the big inning for LSU. Fifth inning, was the big inning. 4 runs in that inning. You had a couple of bases loaded walks. You had a couple of sacrifice flies that got those runs home. South Carolina got the 2 back. I thought the real key point in the game was in the 6th inning when Thatcher Hurd was finished for the day. The 10-pitch at bat to Ethan Petrie that resulted in a run. He came out of the game. Sam Dutton came in. He walked the batter, but then Nate Ackenhausen came in, got a strikeout on a very close call, and then got a comebacker to end the inning at a point where South Carolina had the go-ahead run at the plate, had the tying runs on base, and Ackenhausen got out of that. Thatcher Hurd's going to be the biggest story with 100 pitches today, and like I told you, I thought he pitched better than even his line is going to indicate. But Ackenhausen, for 3 2/3 innings, only gave up 1 hit. He struck out 6 and walked 3. So he did a few things. Number one, he came in at the most important point of the ball game, and he put out the fire. The second thing is he finished this thing, so they did not have to go and use any more pitches. Dutton only threw 5 pitches today, so they could bring him back at some point if they need to. This sets up LSU in really, really good position to throw Paul Skeens tomorrow against either A&M or Arkansas and move themselves into the winner's bracket portion of this. I would expect that Skeens would get a full outing tomorrow. I don't think he'll be on a short pitch count. I don't think they'll overextend him, but when Paul Skeens pitches for LSU, they're usually in pretty good shape. Multiple hits today for Cruz, Pearson, White, Jobert. Multiple runs batted in for White, Morgan, Travinsky, and Jobert. LSU played error-free ball today. That's as good as you can do. Now, I mean, if you had scripted a realistic script, this would have been it. Thatcher Hurd gets the win. Nate Ackenhausen gets the save. LSU gets double-digit hits. LSU doesn't commit any errors. LSU never trails in the ball game. LSU gets off the field without a rain delay. My work's done here. I'll let Hunt tell you about the rest of it. Thanks to everybody for participating. For all of us here at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, I'm Charles Henniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer coming up next.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity.